In this video, we're going to examine the concept of the project charter. How do we develop one? What goes into it? And how do we use it? So if we think about the project charter, this is actually the opening conditions of the problem as it's assigned to the teams. What we're trying to do here is document the set of entry conditions, if you will, the expectations for performance, and all of the administrative work that goes into the project. So one thing we'll have in here is the baseline. What was the problem as assigned, as understood by the management team when it was assigned? Do they have a desired outcome? Have they set a goal that they would like to achieve? Now that goal is not necessarily one that's going to be tasked with the team, because the team, as we go through the process, will actually be calculating what is really a good target for them to achieve. But the goal may be a long-term performance expectation that management would like to have over some period of time. And so we also see the organization of the team should be in there. So who is going to be sponsoring this? Who is the champion, if you will, that's going to be taking? Who's going to be the project lead in terms of the green belt or maybe even a black belt? Who are the members of the team? What does each of them contribute in terms of a special expertise or capability and the reason that they're included on the team? Are there some support members, either from maintenance or maybe some technology area or some sales area, where they should be providing some assistance to the team on an as-requested basis? And then is there going to be some sort of steering group or some group of managers who are going to be looking over the shoulder of the team to find out how could this apply in other areas? For instance, maybe one sponsor of the project may be a particular process owner, but maybe we want to have other process owners who are related to this process part of the steering group so they can see how the progress is made on the team and be able to get some understanding of how this may actually apply in their particular areas. Another component that goes into this is the timetable. So there's some sort of original time schedule, and you might just think of this as like the inclusion of a Gantt chart. So what do we think is going to be the expectation for performance? And we'll come back and we'll talk a little bit about how to conduct a DMAIC project in just 5 meetings, but that's going to be to how do we do this efficiently? When you go through training, that time schedule isn't really the driver. It's understanding how to apply the tools. But as you get better and better at doing this, you'll find out you can collapse these projects and perhaps get done with a Greenbelt project in less than a month. And that then is where it starts becoming a secondary nature to you, how to handle all of these things. So the original time schedule that you have and set for your first project probably will be one of the longest ones that you have. Also included in the charter should be such things as the business case. Why is management interested in this in the first place? What are they expecting to get out of it in terms of business improvement? Maybe the scope or some reduction in scope. It's going to be just this geographic process, not all these other ones. It's just going to be in this period of time or only in these process steps and so forth. So these could be constraints that allow you to focus that team better. Another thing you might have is, what is the opportunity statement? You know, does management take a look at this and they see there's some motivation, say other organizations are doing this much better based on open literature? Maybe they see within the organization some internal benchmarks are doing this better. So what's causing them to think that there is a specific opportunity? Then the objectives. What do we want to do with this project? So we talked about the problem statement. We said one of the things we would like to say is, you know, do we want to improve, reduce, or control? So what sort of objectives do we have? Are there specific objectives? Maybe the objectives are also about developing people. Maybe they're about transitioning from ISO 9000, you know, an earlier version to the new version of ISO 9000. So maybe there's some additional things that management would like to accomplish as they're doing this. Are there some expected deliverables, outcomes that you'd like to have? And so maybe what we see is, and while we're doing this, we want to fix a measurement system, or would like to put in a new set of process controls. So we identify the team members, and we also set some expectations. How much time will they have to dedicate to this particular thing? Are we going to meet like 1 hour a week? You know, what are we going to do in terms of the frequency of meeting, the scale of meeting, and also the contribution expected from them compared to the green belts? Finally, as you do this charter, we realize that some of these things we can't actually write right away at the defined phase. So the project charter at this beginning is sort of like a rough cut charter. It's not all of the details, but it's enough of them to say, let's get started. When we get to the analyze phase, it should be pretty complete. By then we should know the benefits expected. We should be able to say what the goal statement is and have a much better idea in terms of the schedule for performance of the project. In addition, there may be some items that we would require in terms of a budget. Most Six Sigma projects at the Greenbelt level should not require any financial support from the organization in terms of capital assets or new equipment that's being bought. However, in the measurement phase, if we find our measurement system is totally inadequate, maybe we have to have some new sensor systems or some computing power or some sort of output device that allows us to see more clearly what the measurement system is and to get better integrity on the data and therefore to manage the process tighter. So many times in a Greenbelt project, as we analyze the measurement system capability, what we see is a need for some improvement of the measurement system. And therefore there may be some cost related to this. Typically this is not major cost, such as buying a new piece of capital equipment, but it's enough that somebody should include it in a budget someplace. So those are all of the components that we would expect to see in a well-formed project charter. And we're going to, again, use this as a management document. We'll revise it after we issue it in the define phase. We'll revise it at the end of the measure phase. And at the end of the control phase, the charter should be pretty well set for the rest of the project. So let's go on now, and we're going to start thinking about how do we actually start performing the work of the Greenbelt.